everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am so excited to be on here with you today. So excited. As you are jumping on here with me, let me know what state you are watching from. I love to know where you ladies are jumping on from. So let me know in the chat where you are watching from as you jump on here today. Happy Wednesday. Middle of the week. I love it. Thank you again for jumping on with me. So excited. We have a lot that we are going to be covering today. So I want to go ahead and we're going to jump in and get started. But again, let me know where you're watching from as you jump on here. Hello, Michelle. Maryland in the house. I love it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump on and we are going to jump in because for our Wednesday cup of coffee with Kristen, I try to keep those as short as I can, but I wanted to add in some Jeep specific education for our Wednesday cup of coffee with Kristen's so that we are getting our caffeine on and our Jeep education on as well. Hello, Melinda from Virginia. I love it. Awesome. We got Sharon from Missouri. Woohoo. Love it. Jody from Texas. Woohoo. We got New York in the house. Virginia. I love it. All right. So keep letting me know where you are watching from as you are jumping on here with me. Oh, we got Leanne. Hello, Leanne from North Carolina. I love it. Well, thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day today to jump on here with me. I am so excited to be sharing this with you today. I know we really have been focused on the design your Jeep build aspect, but I feel like that is so important and it has been so much fun. We have been diving in, adding different classes, which, has been great. I love it. All right, so we're going to jump in and get started for today. Happy Wednesday. I love your live from St. Louis, Missouri, but I'm about to start driving. Can I see this later? Yes. Thank you for asking. This will be available right here for you on the page. And I will also be sharing a link with you to bring you right back to here so you can jump on for anything you've missed. And it will be going out in an email as well as we go ahead and work through this because I don't want anyone to miss anything. It is so important to me that you get everything that you are looking for. I know I keep adding classes, but I just want to make sure that I get all that information in there. All right, ladies, are we ready? We're going to jump in and get started for today. Woohoo! Again, if you're just jumping on, let me know where you are watching from. I appreciate it. I love getting to see what states are here and represented. All right, so we're going to jump in. We're going to get started for today. So excited. All right, ladies, so welcome to the 3 questions every Jeep owner has asked and get the real answers. I feel like Jeep owners are constantly faced with unanswered questions or worse, bad answers and bad information. It can be tough to find the right information when you're starting a Jeep build. And part of that reason is because there's so much information out there. And sometimes it seems like everyone has an opinion on what you should do with your Jeep. So we are going to jump in today. And in case you are new, I want to introduce myself. I am Kristen DeLibero from LadyJeepers.com. I am going to be your trail leader today as we navigate this trail of education together. Oops, I skipped ahead. Sorry, ladies. I'm getting too excited. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? I am here to help with a real answer breakdown. And it is an approach to the three questions every Jeep owner has asked. So I will be answering these most frequently asked questions about your Jeep build with clear, concise information. That is the most important thing to me as we are going through this today. I want to make sure that you're getting real answers, but they're clear, they're easy to understand, and really break those down as well. So, the three questions that we are going to be focusing on today. Question one: what size tire can I put on my Jeep? Question two: what lift height should I get? Question three: do I have to re-gear my Jeep? So we're just going to jump right into the nitty gritty and get started right now. So the key to getting the real answers to all three of these questions is having a place to start. And this is the most important piece because I cannot give you a real answer to these three questions until I ask you some questions so that we can all get really clear and I can give you the right information for you because no Jeep build is the same. They're all different. They're all unique, just like we are as individuals. And that's what's so exciting about building our Jeep. But so if you have asked one of these three questions, I can't give you a real answer with the correct information until we have a really good foundation. So we're going to start with the end in mind. What is your end goal for your Jeep? Believe it or not, this has to be answered before anyone can give you a real answer to those three most frequently asked questions. So take a minute. What is your end goal with your Jeep? Please remember, this can change the longer that you have your Jeep and the more you do with your Jeep. You know, sometimes we'll get our Jeep, we're going to be like, oh, I don't want to trail ride. I just want my Jeep to be my daily driver. Fast forward down the road, you might be like, okay, now I'm trail riding more. So I've changed what my end goal is for my Jeep. And that is normal. And that happens all the time. And it's exciting. And I love it. However, before you start to make any modifications or changes on your Jeep, we have to have an idea of where you are going to go so that we can get started modifying your Jeep. So think about that. What is your end goal? So I want to ask you this question. Is this Jeep my daily driver? And how much on-road versus off-road do you see yourself doing? I know, again, this can change. It can be hard to think about, but you know, if this is your daily driver, this Jeep is what you drive, you jump in, it's your go-to. That's why we got them, right? Because we want to enjoy them every single day behind the wheel of these amazing Jeeps. So I want you to think about that. Is this your daily driver? Yes or no? And how much on-road versus off-road do you see yourself driving? And this is your end goal. So you might say, well, today it's 100% daily driver. I'm not going to take it on trails. But there could be a slight chance, you know, I might take it out. I might start enjoying the trails, but this will always be my daily driver. So the way I like to break this up is it going to be 80? You want 80% daily driver on road manners. You want it to drive down the road the best that it can. So you want 80% of the time on the road, 20% trail riding off road, 70%, 75% on road, 35% off road, 60, 40. What do you think your ratio is going to be and your focus? I would love for you to let me know in the comments. I'm going to keep going and then I will jump back and we will touch base on all the comments. I just want to make sure I stay clear and on track. And then I will jump back and make sure everything is answered. But I would love for you to be sharing as we are going through this together. So, is this your daily driver? And what is your percentage? Anything 50-50, you're going to have a balance there. If you say, I want more off road than on road, go ahead and put like 20% on road, 80% off road. The reason we are doing this is that is directly going to affect what modifications you make and what changes you want to make, what parts to use to stay in that ratio so that you really have your build specifically made and designed for you. So ultimately, the question is, where do you want the most performance? Do you want, when you're making an upgrade, a modification, buying a new part, whatever it may be, do you want that performance to be helping you for its drivability on road as your daily driver? Or do you want that performance to be helping you trail riding and off road? So, where do you want the most performance from those changes that you are making to your Jeep? But don't worry, you can have both. You can have daily driver on road and amazing off road trail riding. So you get to have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And that is what I love about the Jeeps. So we're going to start from the bottom up as we answer these three questions together today. I want you to understand that there are different factors that play into the height, and you want to understand completely what you will need to modify for each tire size before you start to jump in and make changes. This is one of our charts. If you have been with me on other classes, you know I love worksheets. I love charts. I love everything being organized so it's easy to see and understand. So this is just kind of a basic overview of the modifications and changes you would need to make to your Jeep based on the tire size platform that you choose. So I'm showing you that because I want to eliminate any surprises. I want you to know, okay, if I go this tire size, I'm going to have to eventually upgrade and modify these stock parts and pieces. What I don't want to happen is for you to make a decision. I'm going to put 35s on my Jeep. And then all of a sudden you feel like these things are just flying at you. All these surprises, like, oh, I didn't know I was going to have to upgrade my steering eventually. I didn't realize I was going to have to help the front end of my Jeep and upgrade these stock parts and pieces. And I didn't know any of this. So we want to eliminate any surprises as we are working through this together. So we're going to jump in and start with question 1. I hear this all the time. What size tires can I put on my Jeep? So here's a basic rule. The larger the tire, the more changes and modifications and upgrades you're going to have to make. The bigger the tire gets, the more help you are going to have to give your stock parts and pieces and the mechanics underneath your Jeep. So I want you to just think about, for every tire size you go up from stock that is on your Jeep, you're going to be adding more modifications and more upgrades that have to be made. Bigger tire, more changes. Bigger tire, more changes. Bigger tire, more changes. So the list kind of gets longer and longer. So I want you to think of your build as trying to create balance. You need the geometry and the mechanical balance to have a long-term longevity of your build. And that is something that I want to make sure I'm always bringing forward to you amazing ladies. This is about creating a build that is going to have longevity. It is going to hold up. It is going to last. I will share with you my purple JKU. I will have her forever, forever. As things break, wear out, I will upgrade. But I will keep her forever. So every modification and upgrade that I make on her, I am looking at, I want it to last forever. I don't want to put a lift kit on there and then have to go back in 2 years and pull that one off and put another lift kit on there. I don't want to buy wheels and then in 2, 3 years have to change those out. I want to make sure that I'm thinking long term. So everything that I share with you is about creating a long-term longevity plan for your Jeep. So it's going to hold up. It is going to last. And my goal is you don't have to be spending money on the same parts and pieces more than once, because there's nothing that is more frustrating than that. So as I'm sharing this with you today, we are really focusing on, if you think of your stock Jeep, it has been built to that stock platform. So it has stock parts and pieces that are going to function and are mechanically and geometrically. So the angles, the measurements, everything is set up perfectly for your stock tire size. Because let's be honest, straight out of the gate from the dealership, you drive it off the lot, they are capable machines. As we start to then make changes, that changes that initial geometry that was set up when that Jeep was stock. So think of it that way. When we start to make a change, so, you have your drive shaft. When we start to make changes, lifts, different tires, we're changing that geometry. We are changing how everything is going to work together. So as we make a change, we need to look at geometrically and mechanically, what does that one change affect in this whole Jeep? So what change will I have to then accommodate for to make sure, let's say the drive shaft keeps the same geometrical measurement angle no matter the changes you make? So there are some factors that we have to think about as we're looking at this. So that is why we're going to start with this basic tire size platform overview, because I want you to understand the changes and different requirements based on your tire size choice. I am not going to go full in-depth over this today in this class because there's a lot on here. But what I wanted you to kind of see is I created this chart for our Design Your Jeep Build program. So if you are a member, you already have this and you can actually print it out. And you also have it in the Design Your Jeep Build course where you can look back on this, because I like everything easy to see and understand. So I love charts. So the reason I created this chart was more just of an overview, so that if you were looking at this and you were like, okay, trying to decide what size tire can I put on my Jeep, I want you to understand everything that goes with it, because again, we are eliminating all surprises. No shock. No, I didn't know. We want to make sure everything is clear as possible. So if you look at this, if you're going up to 33s, you'll notice there's not a lot of changes that you're going to have to make. Yes, you'll have to get new wheels and tires. Maybe wheels, depending on what wheels you have and what size tire you're going to. So you may only need to get new tires. And then you do want to make sure that the minimum gear requirement to run those 33s is going to be the 373 gears, which do come stock in some of the Jeep Wranglers. If not, you would want to re-gear to make sure that you have the correct gearing for the tire size. We're going to get into that in question 3. So I'm not going to go in depth. But as you can see, as the tire size gets bigger, there's more and more changes and upgrades you're going to be making. I tell everyone, 37-inch tires is your brake in the platform. 33s, very minimal changes. 35s, yeah, you're going to have to do some more upgrades, especially over time as parts wear out. 37s and bigger, you're going to have the largest amount of modifications and upgrades and changes to stock parts and pieces. Part of that being, look at those big jumps in tire sizes. The bigger the tire, the more you have to help those stock parts and pieces, which were never designed to be able to move, and the drag and the weight of that big of a tire. So, of course, 37s and bigger, as you can see on this list, there's a lot of upgrades you're going to be making. So I just want you to kind of glance at this and be aware so that you know and you understand and can see really clearly the amount of modifications and changes that are going to need to be made based on that tire size platform. So ultimately, the answer to what size tire can I put on my Jeep? It is not as simple as deciding on a tire size and just putting it on your Jeep. You need to have room for the new tire size, but you also need to understand what goes with that choice long term and ultimately. So, question 2, what lift height should I get? Fenders play a huge part in what lift height you are going to need to accommodate and make enough room for your new tire size. So it's time to talk some fenders. So fenders go hand in hand with the lift height that will be required to make room for your new tire size. If you off-road or want to drive on more trails, upgrading the plastic fenders, if you have plastic fenders to begin with, is a great idea. It gives you something more durable, especially if you go to an aluminum or a steel fender. But there's also another reason to look into upgrading your fenders. As you can see, this is a full fender delete. This is illegal in a lot of states. But what I wanted you to see is what happens when you take, you have your fender and it drops down, and now you have to accommodate so the tire does not interfere with your fender. If you leave your stock fenders on, you're going to need more lift height to accommodate so that your new tire does not interfere and make contact with your fender. If you go with a high clearance fender or a fender delete like you can see on this one, you're going to get full utilization of your suspension. So when you go to put a lift on there, you're going to be able to get that full use of your travel, and you're not going to have to worry about that tire getting in with the fender. So if you change the fender out, you don't have to have as much lift height. If you keep your stock fender, you're going to have to go with more lift height to make that same room inside your wheel well for that new tire size. So this is a high clearance aftermarket fender. This is on my purple JKU. I went with this particular one just because of my color scheme I was going with, and I wanted everything to match. But you can see the difference of, this is a very flat, high clearance fender. It's not super wide, and it doesn't come down. So what that did is that made all this extra room in the wheel well so that the tire could go up higher before it made contact with the fender. Whereas the stock fender, because it came out and down, there wasn't as much room there. So the tire would have made contact with that fender faster. So when we are talking lifts, every generation of Jeep is going to require a different lift based on the tire size you want to go with as well. This is something I see a lot. So I'm so excited you're on here and can learn this with me. So if you see this, you are going to be super educated, especially in Jeep groups or on forums. They'll say, What size lift do I need to run a 35 on my Jeep? Well, you have to know what Jeep you're putting that 35 on. And I see people start answering, and I always come back with a question, and it's like, well, what generation Jeep do you have? Are you going to keep your stock fenders, or do you have aftermarket fenders? That determines your answer and the correct answer. So when we're talking real answers today, you can't just start, you can tell someone, I have a 2017 JKU, I have high clearance fenders, this is the lift height I went with. But if you don't include all of that, it is not real and correct information for the person who's getting it. Because as you can see in this picture, these are different Jeeps with completely different lift heights. We have a JKU with a high clearance fender. We have a CJ5 with custom super high clearance fenders. And then we have a JKU with stock plastic fenders. All three of those would need a different lift height to run the same size tire. So things to think about to determine your lift height. What type of fenders are you going to run? What size tire are you going to have? And what type of Jeep do you have? What generation? What year? Anytime you see someone put up a question and they ask about putting tires on or a lift height, these three questions need to be asked before anyone, no matter how knowledgeable or how educated, can actually give a real answer that will be correct for that person in that particular Jeep. So fenders play a part in how much you need based on the clearance inside the wheel well. I'm doing a very quick overview. Again, we're going to be talking about a stock Jeep. So how this Jeep came stock from the factory. We are not going to be talking about a Jeep, you know what, like we're not going to be talking about a CJ or a YJ that they went ahead and took the leaf springs out of and put coilovers or did coil springs and shocks. We're not talking about a modified vehicle. We're talking about this Jeep sitting stock as it drove out of the showroom from Jeep. So if you have a CJ generation Jeep, the stock height, so how you drove it off the lot, you could put a 28 or a 29-inch tire on it, stock as it sits. If you did fender trimming or did an aftermarket fender, you could get a 31. If you did a 2-inch lift, you could do a 32. And if you did a 4-inch lift, you could do a 35. The YJ, again, this is stock. It still has leaf springs. We just drove it off the lot. It is brand new. No changes have been made to it. So the YJ stock can run a 28 or a 29-inch tire. If you do fender trimming, so you cut the fender or go with a high clearance aftermarket fender, you could put on a 30. If you did a 2-inch lift, you could do a 30-inch tire. If you did a 2-inch lift with upgraded fenders, you could run a 31. If you did a 4-inch lift, you could run a 32-inch tire. Or if you did a 4-inch lift with aftermarket fenders, you could run a 34. If you did a 6-inch lift, you could run a 34. Or if you did a 6-inch lift with upgraded aftermarket fenders, you could run a 35. As I'm going through these different generations, I want you to really notice the difference between all the generations and the amount of lift height that was required on these older generation Jeeps to get the same size tire on there, because they're different. Remember, that is the number one thing. So the CJ and the YJ, like I told you, have leaf spring suspension versus coil spring suspension. This started in the TJ and newer vehicles. So CJ YJs came stock with the leaf springs, and the TJ generation and newer all have coil springs. I just wanted to make sure you knew that as we're talking about lifts. All right, so the TJ, LJ, stock height, you could run a 28, a 29, or a 30-inch tire. If you did the fender trimming, so you trimmed your fender or put an aftermarket high clearance fender on it, you could run a 31-inch tire. A 2-inch lift, you could run a 31. If you did upgraded fenders, you could run a 32. A 4-inch lift, you could run a 32. If you did a 4-inch lift with upgraded fenders, you could run a 34. With a 6-inch lift, you could run a 34. Or if you did a 6-inch lift with the upgraded fenders, you could run a 35. JKU, stock height, you could run a 30. If you did fender trimming, so you cut your plastic fenders or did an aftermarket fender, you could run a 33. Or if you did the 1-inch or 1.5-inch leveling kit with the high clearance fender, you could squeeze the 35 in there, but you would have interference with full travel. With a 2-inch lift, a 2 to 2.5-inch lift, you could run 33s or 35s with the upgraded fenders. As I'm sharing this, ladies, please remember I'm talking about longevity, and I'm also talking about not having interference, so that when you are actually utilizing that lift that you have paid for and you have travel, it is not going to interfere and limit the amount of travel that you're going to get because the tire size is too big for the amount of lift that you have. So, can you cram bigger tires under these Jeeps with less lift? Yes. Are they going to interfere? Yes. Are they going to rub? Yes. Have I seen plastic fenders torn off by tires because they get up in there? Yes. So what we're talking about on here is your kind of safe zone of knowing that you're going to be able to have the correct amount of travel and play without damaging the fender with your tire. So with a 3 to 3.5-inch lift, you can do a 35, or if you do aftermarket fenders, and of course the correct offsets, you can run 37s. If you do a 4 to 4.5-inch lift, you can run 37s. If you do that lift with your upgraded fenders and of course the correct offset wheels, you can run a 39. A 6-inch lift, you can run a 39. If you do the 6-inch lift with the upgraded fenders and of course the correct wheels with offsets, you can run a 40. JLJLU, stock height, you can run a 33. Now, when I say stock height, I'm not talking about the Rubicon or anyone that has the Rubicon Recon package. Those are kind of their own set of stipulations on there. So if you have like the Sport, the Sahara, anything that's not a Rubicon, stock out of the factory, you're going to be able to run a 33. The JLJLU JT Rubicons come factory where you can run a 35. So if you have a JLJLU, you do a 1 to 2-inch lift, you can run 35s. If you do a 2.5 to a 3.75-inch lift, you can run 37s. More lifts are becoming available for the JLJLU JT. A lot more have been released, and I know there's going to be a lot more to come. Just remember to be patient. If you have one of the newer Jeeps, there'll be more and more parts coming out. Sherry, your Willys, do you have a Willys Sport? Was it I know there's two different Willys. But yes, so if it's if it is a non-Rubicon or special edition, some of the special editions are different. So thank you, Charlie. I was going to say, so you're going to plan on, you are on that JLJLU platform unless it is a Rubicon or a Rubicon Recon. So hopefully that helps. All right, before we jump into question 3, I'm going to go ahead and look back here because I know I just kind of kept going and I haven't jumped in to answer any questions, but I wanted to make sure we got through all of this and without keeping you here all day, hopefully. Let's see. Oh, Shay, thank you. So sweet. So I love this. Ladies, I will share 60-40 is probably one of the most common as we're going through things that I see is, 60% daily driver, 40% trail riding and off-road. That's where you want your performance. I would say that's one of the most common. So that is awesome. And once you know that, it is so easy to then design your plan and be really happy with your on-road manners and your trail riding and off-road capabilities. I love this. We have an 80-20. That is awesome. So what that means, why I'm asking that is as you start to go through your design your Jeep build plan, as you are getting specific on what changes and modifications you're going to be making, there are choices when you start talking about specific parts and upgrades that are going to help keep that drivability for on-road. I call them on-road manners. So if you are anything above 50% on your on-road manners, just keep that in mind when you start to make decisions for all of the upgrades and modifications you're going to be making. Oh, we have another 80-20. I love it. Another 60-40, Regina. That is awesome. Michelle, I don't agree with you because you're saying 90-10. So you're saying 90% daily driver and only 10% off-road. And the only reason I don't agree with you, Michelle, is because you were at our Florida event with us. And I have seen how you rock your Gladiator. So I think you need to be at least 80-20. I'm being really honest here. Remember, real answers. I'm seeing a lot of 60-40s. I love it. I see another daily 90. That is awesome. And I'm going to try to be really quick. I'm going to run through some questions and then we'll jump back on. I just wanted to share this one because Shay, this is awesome. This is exactly how I did my Jeep. This is something I really push in our Design Your Jeep Build program as we are really going through to lay out and pick parts and what order we're going to do things. I always say start from the ground up. For me, same thing, Shay. The last thing that went on was my wheels and tires. I basically literally started from the ground up. I had all my skids on there. I had trusted. I did everything. And the very last step literally was I took her in with all the parts loaded in the back. And it was lift, wheels, tires. Very last step. So that's what's so great about this. If you create your big design plan, so you know what that end result is, you have all the parts. There's no have to do it this way, and there's no rush. Please remember that too. I drove a year, which I'm very thankful I did because it really helped me get clear on what I wanted, and making sure I made the best choices. Once I finally nailed down my ultimate tire size and my build platform, I put everything together. And then I started stockpiling parts in my garage, letting them stack up. When I had enough, I would go in for okay, it's time for skids and trusses. Okay, different things, and let everything start to kind of pile up until the very last thing was lift wheels and tires. So just remember, I love that. Regina, I think that is awesome. Oh, I see Charlie is on here. He said he is listening with headphones because he's fighting a gear job in a Rubicon. Thank you for being on here, Charlie. If you're one of our Lady Jeepers educational members, you know Charlie because he is in there in the private group for you. So you basically get access to your own Jeep mechanic. He's so much more than that, too, ladies. Jody, I agree with you. I think that is amazing. Like I said, there is no rush. You can never take too long. There's no agenda of like, you can only drive your Jeep stock for this long, or we need to put big tires on it after this amount of time. The Jeeps are so amazing right from the factory. You can drive your Jeep stock the entire lifetime of your Jeep. There's nothing that says you have to make any changes to it. And please don't ever let anyone pressure you into making you feel that way. Today, I'm just going through these questions because I've seen them pop up a lot in our group and I have seen them pop up a lot in other groups. So I wanted to make sure you ladies had the correct information and real answers so that you really understood. This isn't just what size tire can I put on my Jeep and people start throwing numbers at you. There's a lot more that goes into it to get correct answers and the real answers so that you make an informed decision. Michelle said, I need to drive more. Yes, you do. We'll see you at another event soon, though. I know we will because you rocked it in Florida. All right, ladies, back to it. So now we're going to jump into question 3. This question and question 1 kind of tie for how much I see this just all over the place, whether it be Jeep groups, whether it be forums. Question 1 was, what size tire can I put on my Jeep? Question 3 is, do I have to re-gear my Jeep? I think they tie for the amount of times I see them. So let's jump in. What does re-gearing do in a nutshell? Basically, because I'm not getting all the way into everything today, otherwise I will have you here for like 24 hours. But basically, re-gearing in a nutshell takes the stress off of the transmission and engine. It's going to change what RPMs you have to be at to move the Jeep. So to accelerate, or what gear or RPM you're going to be in when you're going up a hill, when you're going off the line, that is what re-gearing changes. Without re-gearing, when it's recommended, you're going to notice that you are slower off the line. So if you're at a complete stop at a red light, you're going to notice it takes longer to get the Jeep going. You're going to notice it bogs down going up a hill. It feels like it's losing power. It doesn't have enough power to make it up the hill. And you might notice it downshifts and upshifts and downshifts and upshifts because it can't really find where it needs to be. And ultimately, without re-gearing, you are putting more stress on the transmission of your Jeep to move the mass and the weight of the bigger tire. So what do the gear ratio numbers mean? The deeper the gear ratio, the more low end you are getting. So what does that mean? The deeper the gear ratio and the more low end that you're getting. So basically what that means is the more go off the line you're going to have in two-wheel drive, and the more crawl is what we call it in 4 low. So we call it a deeper. You're going to have a deeper crawl, a deeper gear. So it's going to help on road and off road to re-gear. On road, when you get going, you're going to notice that you have a little more go. You're going to notice you're going to be able to pull the hills better. You're not feeling like you're lagging and losing power. And then in 4 low, you're going to notice that it's going slower at a little bit higher RPM so that you have more crawl in those gears. So when we talk about deeper gear ratio, you can see these numbers. So we have a 321. The bigger the number gets, the deeper the gear ratio is getting. So 321 was, you saw stock in the JKJKUs for a while. 345, you're seeing stock in some of the JLJLUs. 373, 410. As numbers get bigger, 456, it means that's a deeper gear ratio that's giving you more go off the line, but you are losing top speed. And it's giving you more crawl, or, I call it more dig, more crawl, in for low. But as the gear ratio number gets larger and the gear gets deeper, that actual ring and pinion gear is going to get smaller. So we're not getting into all of this today, but this is why you will hear people say you can't do a bigger tire than a 35 on a Dana 30 because of the gearing and the size of the ring and pinion gear. All of this are opinions. There is some geometry and mathematics that goes into some of this as far as actual measurements. And when you start talking about weakest points and force and size, we're not going to jump into all that today. But I want you to know that if you hear that, oh, well, you can't go that deep because the ring and pinion are going to be too small. What that means is as that number gets bigger and you get a deeper gear, that ring and pinion are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So someone might say to you, ooh, I wouldn't re-gear to a 513 in that axle because that ring and pinion gear is going to be so small. That's what they mean. It just means those, as the numbers get bigger, ring and pinion get a little bit smaller. In a nutshell, I'm doing the minimum gear ratio that you should have. If you need to re-gear, I personally recommend re-gearing one deeper. Because if you're going to go in and re-gear anyway, it does not cost any difference based on what gear you put in. Okay, let me rephrase that. There's different manufacturers, so yes, the gears themselves cost different, but it does not cost more to put in a 410 than a 373. It does not cost more to re-gear your Jeep to a 513 than it does a 373. So there's some misunderstandings, I feel like sometimes when we start talking about re-gearing. Oh, I'm just going to re-gear to a 410. It does not cost any more to go to the 456. It's not a cost thing there. So when you're looking at these numbers, we would automatically think, the bigger the number, the deeper the gear, the more expensive it's going to cost. No, cost the same. Re-gearing is re-gearing. Now, the gears that you buy, what company, yes, there can be a big difference in price. But as far as same company, different size ring and pinion gear, no, it's not costing you a significant amount of money to change that. So when we look at this is the minimum gear ratio you should have. So if your Jeep currently has a 373, you could run 33s. 410s, 35s. If you're going to run 37s, you need to have at least 456s. If you're going to run 40s, you need to have at least 513s. Now, I recommend that if you are looking at this and you're going to want to go to a bigger tire, one, you need to know what gear ratio is in your Jeep. Two, you need to put into that build and in that sheet and that design and plan that you need to re-gear to make sure you have at least this minimum gearing. If you're going to re-gear, again, my suggestion, go one deeper. So if you know you'll never go bigger than 35s is your platform. The hard part with this is a Rubicon that has 410 gears can run 35s without re-gearing. If you have the Recon package in the newer Jeeps, you actually have the 456, which means you could run 35s or 37s without re-gearing your new Recon. but this is the minimum that you want to make sure that you have gear-wise long-term in your Jeep. If you put 37s on a 410, of course you're going to be able to drive it down the road, but think of for how long. You're putting extra stress, extra wear and tear on your vehicle. The new transmissions in the JL, the JLU, and the JT, because they are a different transmission, it's not putting as much stress on your transmission if you don't re-gear right away. But if you're saying 60-40 or 80-20, you're going to want to make sure you re-gear because it will change how it drives on the road, how it is up the line, what your top speed is, how it's doing on hills, where it's shifting at. And then when you're out on the trail, you're going to notice a big difference as well. So yes, you want to make sure that you plan to re-gear. So again, this is just a basic chart. I'm a chart person. I love my charts. I want it easy to see, very clear to understand. This is your minimum gear ratio that you need based on the tire size. So just keep that in mind. And again, I would go one deeper if you have to re-gear for that tire platform. There are some different variables in there based on what generation Jeep you have, based on what motor you have, based on what transfer case you have. So it's not like totally cut and dry, but this is your basic and your basis of where to start. Let me look at questions really quickly. Jessica. So basically you can do any gear that you want to and any axle that you want to. Oh, wrong one. I am so sorry. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Basically you can re-gear and put any gear ratio in any axle that you want to. I'm not going to go super in depth today, but the idea with when you start talking about the different axle sizes, the difference in the axle sizes has to do with the differential itself. Well, the housing, everything's different. But why we say, okay, well, a Dana 30 is different than a Dana 44, which is different than a Dana 60. The reason we're saying that is because the actual differential size is different. So that big chunk in the front, your differential that houses your gears, changes in size based on what axle you have. The bigger the axle, the bigger the gear sets. So quick overview, super in depth on everything. If you look at, and I'm not talking about the third generation JL, JLU, JT axles, because they're their own. So they're kind of in between some of these. So the new axles, like with the M186, the gear, ring and pinion gear is larger in that than your traditional Dana 30. So I'm just talking old school traditional. If you had the Dana 30, a Dana 44, and a Dana 60 all sitting there lined up together, when you walk up to them and look at them, you're going to notice, your Dana 30 chunk. So your differential is like this size. Then the Dana 44, it's a little different shape, which I'm not going to be able to make. So we're just going to do sizing. Is like this big. Then you go to the Dana 60 and it's that big. And I'm making a big difference here because I just want you to see what I'm trying to explain here. So Dana 30, then Dana 44, then Dana 60. With each one of those axle changes, the differential size changing, the ring and pinion gear change. So one step further, Dana 30, Dana 44, Dana 60 all lined up next to each other on the ground. All of them have a 456 gear in them. The ring and pinion gear size itself in that Dana 30 is going to be smaller. Now it's still a 456 in the Dana 44, but the ring and pinion gear are going to be bigger than the 456 in the Dana 30. Then in the Dana 60, that 456 gear set is bigger, even though it's a 456, than the Dana 44. Then if you look at the difference between the Dana 30 and the Dana 60, you're going to notice a significant size difference in the same gear ratio, same number of teeth. It's the same gear, but the size changes based on the axle. So really, with that answer for the Dana 35, again, are you talking like a true Dana 35 or a Dana 35C? Or are you talking an M200 and calling it a Dana 35? Because there is a difference there. So that is something also to think about, because the new JLU axles are not truly a Dana 30 or a Dana 35. If you missed that class, it's right here on the page. Keep an eye out. You can find it. Go to video, go back to it. We go completely into the axles, the changes on the JLUs, and then the next class that we have just done last week really goes in depth on how to get your factory build sheet, so you know exactly what is under your Jeep and then what that means. So I'm not going to jump into all of that today, but once we get done, I will share the links with you so that you can jump back and watch those if you'd like to get specific. Let's see, doing my build right now. I'm going 35s with 456. That is a great combination. That is awesome. So excited. You're going to love it. It's a CJ7. Woo! We love the CJs at my house. Is that chart for all Jeep models across the board, Jody? Basically, yes. You know, the starting gear point may be different depending on what generation Jeep it is. But as far as with a 35, do you want a 410 or a 456? Yes. Does it matter if it's in a CJ, a YJ, a TJ, an LJ, a JK, a JL, or a JT? No. The starting gears in all of those Jeeps, are they different? Yes. So you might take and upgrade, you know, a 373 to a 456. You might upgrade a 321 to a 456, but ultimately that chart across the board, yes, is for all of the Jeep models across the board because of the tire size change. Yay! So glad that that helps to answer your questions. Woohoo! I love charts. I love worksheets. I like things like just super easy to understand and to see and see everything at once. So I bring forward what works for me. Let's see. Thank you, Charlie. I just saw he basically said the same thing I did. Thank you. Oh, Jessica, thank you. I am so happy. Ladies, I love doing these videos. Sometimes I feel like I'm throwing so much information at you, but I want to make sure you have everything. Like, that's something that's so important to me. And I want it to be easy to understand, easy to break down, so that you really have a great handle on your build. So, or your Jeep in general. You know, I had a great call yesterday with one of our lady Jeepers. For the first time ever, I'm getting off subject, so I need my little sign that says Kristen is getting off track. Kristen is getting off subject. I'm gonna make one, just so then, you know, if people are editing my videos, it'll be easier. They're like, oh, she's off track. Cut it. But no. Long story short, so I'm doing coaching for the first time this year, like private coaching, and I have some amazing lady Jeepers who are part of that. Thank you. I love it. But so I jumped on yesterday, and one of the best things that I heard was from one of our lady Jeepers. And she was talking about we were talking about an event and life and different coaching things. And she made the best comment and said, I going to the event was life changing for me and the whole program because when I made my goal and I set my intention for what I was changing in my life, she said, I set my goal and said, I am taking personal responsibility for myself in every aspect of my Jeeping. And she said, by doing that, it has carried over to everything else in her life. And to me, that's what I'm trying to give you. If your goal is to be able to take over and be 100% in control, self-sufficient, and in control of your Jeeping, your Jeep life, your Jeep experience, that's what I'm trying to give to you so that it makes it easier and you're successful. Okay, I got to get going back again. Oh, thank you. Yes. So yes, if anyone has any questions, I want to say that class was an hour and 40 minutes, and all we talked about was the JL, JLU, axles, specifics, changes. So, oh yes, jump back over, Jessica, and watch that one. Both of them are amazing. There's two because I couldn't do them all in one. So one is the truth about the JLU, and then the second one is the factory build sheet. I will share those links with you once we get done here. Oh my gosh, Michelle, thank you. You are so sweet. Oh, thank you, Daylene. That makes me so happy. Woohoo! So important. All right. I'm going to get back into it. Finding this group has been life-changing. Can't wait to be around in March. Yay. I can't wait to see you either. March is going to be amazing. We actually just had a call with Windrock Park yesterday. And things are going to be even more amazing than this year than they were last year. They are so excited we are headed back. And we're going to be doing some things that are going to make it even easier for everyone at the event. So I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, a question for my own heart. So yes, we do have some YJ classes. I would love the info that you share. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad it's helpful. I am going to share my email address when we get done with this class today. We're almost there. I'm trying to keep it short. Sorry, ladies. But just shoot me a message. And what I'll do is I can send you a link to the information that I have that is just YJ specific. I have a generations class that I am breaking up that we did for our members only training. And so I'm breaking it up and there's YJ specific. I also have a shackle reversal for leaf springs that is YJ CJ specific. It's a YJ in the video. So yes, we have lots of different YJ specific things I can share with you. And I do have some videos. Some of them are old, but of my YJ actually with different builds and changes we made on her. So yes, shoot me an email. I love the YJs. Square Life. So I will make sure you get everything to understand that amazing square headlight vehicle that you have. So I will share with you, we were in Washington State, not last year, but the year before. We had plans to be coming back to Oregon. I don't even like saying the word, but COVID kind of put a pause on some things with us as far as traveling to the West Coast, the groups, what we could do. So yes, we do have, so the farthest we are getting west for the West Coast this year is Moab, Utah. I know we have some ladies from Washington and Oregon and California who are all coming out for that. So if you decide you want to do that, let us know. We can put you in touch. There's like a convoy going on for our ladies coming out together. But yes, so right now Moab is as far west for the West Coast as we're going for this year. But we do have plans for the West Coast. I kind of just keep pushing pushing back, just kind of based on having to watch everything going on as well. Because I never want to have to put an event out and cancel it. I really try hard not. I think even with COVID, we had to do that for 2 or 3 during shutdowns, but I try so hard not to do that. So I'm also trying to be really careful what we schedule for you amazing ladies, but we will not forget you West Coast ladies. My mom lives in Washington State. My sister's from California. So I have family. So I keep trying to be like, we'll make it a family trip and go see everybody. So yes, we will be back out there, but do jump in and take a look at Moab. It is going to be phenomenal. Moab itself is a once in a lifetime bucket list. You have to go at least one time. So just keep an eye out for that. Big Bend event would be great too. Jody, yes. So no worries. We definitely are keeping an eye on our West Coast ladies. Definitely. I have some big plans. I'd like to do kind of like this little West Coast tour. And I'd like to start in Las Vegas and end in Las Vegas. So maybe something that will be happening for next year since I'm putting it out there. I want to do like Lady Jeepers take over Las Vegas. And then there's some amazing trails and wild horses and desert and things like right out there outside of Las Vegas. So might be something. Yeah, Charlie, I'll send you to the Black Bear Pass event. That can be like a you thing. I am all about Moab. Linda, I can't wait to see you there. But yes, you can be ready by then. We would love to have you, and we will be out there. We will put something together. All right, ladies, I got to get back on track. Otherwise, I could just hang out and talk to you all day. I love it. I have so much fun. But I know you ladies don't want to be stuck on your computers or phones all day either. Yes. And I may have told Chad for the Lady Jeepers Takeover Las Vegas, he'll have to stay home, at least like for one of them. Didn't go over well, but we'll see what happens. We need a girls' weekend. Moab and King of the Hammers on the list. Woo! My husband has had King of the Hammers on his list for years. All right, I'm going to jump back to it, ladies. I don't want to take all day, so I am going to get through this for you, and I will share once we get done. I will share with you my email address for any questions or anything that comes up as well, because I want to make sure everyone gets everything that they need. All right, here we go. So what have we covered today? What we have covered in a nutshell is the key to getting the real answers to all 3 questions. And you need to make sure that you are clear. And before you can get the correct answers and the correct help, you need to know the answers for these questions. So, what is your end goal? Where is it that you want to get to? Because let's be honest, even the most knowledgeable expert cannot give you the correct or right information if you don't know what your goal is and where you're starting. So you need to know how much on-road versus off-road driving do you see yourself doing? And again, this answer can change over time, but you need to think about if this Jeep is your daily driver and where you want your best performance. Do you want that performance on-road, off-road on the trail, or a balance? And please remember that it is not as simple as deciding on a tire size and just putting it on your Jeep. You need to completely understand what you will need to modify for each tire size before you jump in and just start making changes and modifications for your Jeep. Because my goal for you ultimately is no surprises. And that is so important to me. It's why we spend the time going through what we are today. And you need to know where your Jeep is starting at before you can make decisions on upgrades and changes. So, the three most important things: know what gears you have in your Jeep right now, know what axles you have in your Jeep right now, and what is the current tire size that you have on your Jeep right now. Also, remember, there is no rush. Take your time, enjoy driving your Jeep while you are deciding what changes and modifications you want to make. This is your Jeep. This is your money, and you have to love your build. So there is no time restraint on how fast you need to make changes and modifications and build your Jeep. And after today, I know we spent a lot of time together, but there is so much more: parts, specific parts, upgrades, more to understand and break into pieces together. But again, I did not want to keep you on here for a 24-hour class because, let's be honest, I probably would have taken 24 hours for us to go through all of this together, just because there is so much more I want to share and go through with you. But I feel really good that if you take what I shared with you today, it will save you money, it will save you time, and it will save you frustration in the long run. And not to mention, you now can jump in and help others. Um, Even if it is someone says, "What size tire can I put on my Jeep?" And people just start throwing numbers out there, telling people something, even if all you come back with is, "Well, here's some questions that you need to answer before anybody can help you." And the reason I love that and bringing this forward is because correct information is so important, helping people get the right information. So I love that you have been on here with me today. You have walked through all of these questions and answers and what really goes into them with me so that you now have that education and knowledge to go out there and help others to make sure that they're not getting bad information or the wrong information. And that is so crucially important to me. It is how we get to help other ladies, other people, and more people can break through frustration and love their Jeep build. So I know I shared a lot. I know we were on here forever, and there's still so much more that I want to share with you. I'm not sure what I'm going to be putting together next. I know it's going to be something because I just feel like there's still so much more I want to go through with you, amazing ladies. So if you want to dive in and create a plan with a solid understanding, learn even more about your Jeep, just go ahead and drop a hashtag more. And as soon as I figure out the next crazy thing that I'll be putting together for you ladies, I will go ahead and make sure to personally reach out and share with you what will be coming next, what our next step is as we continue forward. So thank you so much for being on here with me today. I know I get off track and I do apologize for that, but I just have so much fun spending time with you amazing ladies, going through Jeep training together. I love it. Love my build. Thanks to you and Chad. Oh, thank you so much. That makes me so happy. Yay. That is what fills me up. That's what keeps me going, makes me so happy to share all of this with you amazing ladies. So, like I said, just drop hashtag more if you are ready for whatever crazy thing I come up with next to keep us going and working ahead and bringing even more information forward. So I know I keep throwing in random classes. I've been working on a couple new programs that I feel like will be so helpful for you ladies. So I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around all this stuff I want to be doing so that I can pick what is going to be the absolute best for you and the best next step for going forward. So just let me know, and I will come up with some crazy thing next and share it with you. I know I have a list of some more classes I want to be doing, so keep an eye out for announcements, and I will jump back on here and share with you ladies whatever Kristen's next crazy idea is. I think I'll start calling them this Kristen's crazy ideas. No, they're not crazy. They're just always like, let's do it now. So thank you so much, ladies. Again, if you did miss any of our classes before, please, all you have to do is jump to video. All of them are on there for you, all the information. That factory build sheet class, if you did not attend that one, haven't seen it yet, is a must. Does not matter what generation Jeep you have, what year you have, if it's stock, it doesn't matter. Make sure to jump over, check that class out, because to me, that was probably one of our most informative classes we've done in a while. It will go great with some of my crazy questions. Woohoo, we're all crazy together. Let me drop my email in the chat. So if you have any questions, any specific questions, okay, Jennifer, I like this one, so I have to share it. Sensible, fun, brilliance from Kristen. I love that. Woohoo! I might use that one. If you see that, thank you. I stole it from you. Oh, all right, ladies. Thank you again for jumping on here with me. I cannot wait. We have so much more we're going to be going over together, which is awesome. So I will see you again soon. So have a fantastic rest of your day, and keep an eye out. I will be coming up with some more stuff. I got a lot on my list. I keep throwing stuff out there. So I know we got more stuff coming up. So keep an eye out. And if you are on our email list, please do me a huge favor. Jump into your inbox. Go ahead and search Lady Jeepers in your search bar. Make sure that you can see our emails. I know they're going to some people's promotion, and super sad to hear today, some of our ladies is going to their spam. So please, if you're on our email list, jump over, put in the search bar, Lady Jeepers. Notice where you found our email. And you can add us as a favorite sender so that you know we're going to come to your inbox, because I just don't want anybody to miss anything, because I have some really fun things that are surprises coming up for Valentine's Day. You know me, I love surprises, so keep an eye out on Valentine's Day as well. And I'm going to be sharing tomorrow. So I'm going to share with you ladies first. That's what you get for being on here with me live. Woo! You get first information. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be sharing tomorrow through Valentine's Day with the link. I did my first ever podcast interview with the Jeep Talk Show, and I'm so excited. We will be airing on Monday for Valentine's Day. So just keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be sharing the link on Facebook. I'm going to send it in an email. So if you want to jump on, it will be live on Valentine's Day. They thought that would be super cute. You know, women, men together, Valentine's Day. So kind of making it kind of a cute Valentine's Day show. So I'm excited about that. So I will be sharing that. So keep an eye out. Woohoo! So thank you, ladies. I figured I would let you know first, so that way you can put it on your calendar. So it's going to be Monday, Valentine's Day. So I cannot wait to see you again soon. I know we will have another live class coming up. If I don't do something before, don't forget every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here live. And I'm going to be doing what we did today. We will be doing coffee with Kristen, but I want to be throwing in some sort of Jeep education and knowledge with that every week. I'm going to try to get more and more specific to make them shorter and shorter since it is supposed to be a coffee break. So that it would be more along the lines of, like a 30-minute coffee break you would get at work or something like that. So I'm going to keep working on that. I promise. But I am having so much fun with you, amazing ladies. Thank you again for spending a big chunk of your day with me. I appreciate it and getting your Jeep knowledge on. So I will see you again soon. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday and an amazing weekend if I don't see you before then. So thank you, ladies.